Tell us your name
I'm Rachel Nabors.
and where do you live?
I'm hanging out in Portland, Oregon right now.
Okay. And tell us what you're going to be talking about.
Animation.
Okay, go for it.
What else would I be talking about? So howdy, hi again, it's me. So true story. Wait a minute. Yes, true story. I originally had a very different talk in mind, but oh yeah, there we go. Clicker fun. Originally had a very different talk in mind, but you know, laptop catching on fire kind of got in the way there. So here is a portion of the talk that might have been in an alternate universe where GPUs do not catch fire. It does exist, but you get to just peek into that universe right now. I'm going to show you some UI animation patterns that are super fun. So where were we? Oh yes. Animation is a necessary part of your complete and balanced user experience. But wait, there's more. So check it out. When the brain sees an interaction like this, where you're opening and closing, I said opening and closing a drop-down. Is it really like, there we go, yeah. Yes, opening and closing a drop-down. When your brain sees that, notice it's just going from open to closed state, very abrupt. The brain essentially takes a before and after shot, and it diffs between the two of them. It kind of interprets that what comes after must have been caused by the before, and there must have been a between state. Now, all of us here, we work with screens every day. We stare at them for a long, long time, and our brains are super tuned to seeing that cause and effect relationship. We're in the height of our cognitive zooming aheadness here. That's why we have jobs in this industry. But there are some people where an interaction like that might be a little confusing. Maybe they're older users, maybe they're young users who haven't quite been acclimatized to how LCDs just suddenly change everything on you from time to time. But that said, sometimes, or maybe you have the flu or pneumonia like I did once. That was fun. Using websites when I had pneumonia was very confusing. Anyway, if there's no lag between these cuts, it can feel instantaneous, but it might not look that way. It might not look related to some folks. So what do? Well, if you animate it, if you actually animate it, everyone is happy. Oh, look at that. They can visually actually see what's happening here. Amazing, wow. So what's going on here is that researchers learned that, oh my gosh, this is awesome. So the human brain has evolved this whole separate visual processing system through many, many years of evolution. And this separate visual processing system can handle information while the rest of the brain goes off and does something completely different. If you actually look at MRI scans, the human brain actually looks like a conversation between many different people, more than, you know, one entity doing one thing. So the visual side of the brain might be picking up on something. Like when you're having a conversation with someone, you're picking up on their emotions, cues through their face, and how the tone of their voice, et cetera. All these things are feeding in to your mental model of where you are in this world. And animation is very good at doing that when it comes to working with screens. I like to call this the high road through the visual cortex. Of course, it can be abused. Whew, that one will come around again. Everything is generational. People got change blind to that, but it's coming back for the next generation. All right, so great thing about animation is we can use it for good, not evil. In which case, we can use it to indicate change in direction, solidity, momentum, among other things, and combine them to create the 5 most common kinds of animation patterns I have found in the wild. Woo! 5 UI animation patterns. We've got transitions, supplements, feedback, demonstrations, and decorations. I'm going to give you some examples of each of these. This will be fun. Sweet. So stateful transitions. These can be used to guide users between states in a task flow, from page to page, from field to field. You saw some of them earlier in the Sleeping Beauty demonstration here. When a person goes from this reading state into this interacting state. That's an example of a transition. They're going from one task to another. And if you just jump cut, just like slap that face in there and remove the tail, it would be a little confusing as to what had just happened. But animation can ease that, show you where the tail has gone and where this face is coming from. Now in the wild, for instance, this is an example from Nike.com. This takes you, the state that's changing here is which particular shoe you're looking at. And notice how they're spatially being reinforced. It's almost as though you were looking through a row of shoes on a shelf somewhere. If you go in this direction, you see this shoe, and the context has changed. The color has changed to indicate you're in a different part of the site. You're looking at a different part of the information space. Pretty nice. So, transitions. What are they good for? Taking users from place to place in the information space, moving users from one task to another, and otherwise replacing large portions of information that otherwise you'd have to wipe the screen and repaint in. That's very disruptive. Step 2, supplemental animation. Supplemental animation accentuates secondary information to the main state, things that come on and off the page. If you're using VIFs, VShows, etc., you probably could use some supplemental animations when you're bringing that content on and off your page. I hope you've got your transition tags ready. So this is great for things like alerts, notifications, updates, toasts. It's also, of course, easy to abuse. So, play nice with others. Oh man. So down here in the navigation, you can see that the content, the buttons, they actually animate on and off the page. I couldn't quite manage the animation of the text itself. I wish I could have gotten the animation to slide back and forth as well, because the content is changing. But it's not necessarily the main feature of the entire thing. Here's another example, slightly better, from Glossier.com. Anybody here shop at Glossier.com? Yeah! I don't have any on me right now, literally. So what's happening here is when people are shopping, Glossier wants people to keep shopping. That is their goal. When you are on this page, they don't want you going to your shopping cart and checking out, not just yet. Please buy some more products, put them in. The main theme of this page is add things to the shopping cart, not check out. So when you say, I've added this to the shopping cart, this sidebar, this secondary supplemental animation, swings out from the side to indicate what's happened. But it doesn't take you away from your main context, which is shopping. Not checking out, shopping. You want to go check out? They got a link for that. It's at the top. Go for it. So supplements, what are they good for? Bringing secondary information to the main domain task on and off the page. Updating with additional content. You've got little extra snippets that you want people to know. Or shifting controls on a task. Very handy if you're building complex user interfaces for doing many things. You might have to context shift between tools. Feedback. Feedback indicates, oh man, I hope I'm not running over, but feedback indicates causality. Something caused something else to happen. Loaders, hover effects, spinners. These are all examples of animations that give people feedback on the state of something. We use this all the time with links and buttons. My original but unfinished demo was that you could take your mouse and hover it over different portions of the woman's face, and it would highlight different portions of it, giving you feedback as to the position of your cursor. Animal Made, a little design firm, they use a loading bar across the top and their animated logo to indicate not just how much of the page has loaded, but also that the page has finished loading. This gives the user feedback about something they don't have direct control over, feedback about the state of the page itself. So what is feedback good for? It's good for showing the relationship between two or more events, not necessarily both caused by humans. Indicating causation, this caused this thing to happen, and connecting a user's action, especially to an interface's reaction. Some things are easier to grok in motion. Demonstrations show you something by example, often replacing a video or a flood of text. Of course, I don't have a demo for this one because computer fire. So I'll use a demo from outside the web in the data visualization community. This is a great example. It was a backdrop for a DataViz conference. Huge numbers showing lots of data. Each one of these points represents thousands of treated patients, and it's using flocking dynamics to show how they interact with time. And it does it in a compelling way. You could have read a report about this information, but look at how this animation is being used to demonstrate. I get emotional over this one so much. I especially love the, come on, it's coming up here. They're going to show exactly how many they plan to treat by 2030. I mean, that's just really epic. They could have shown you these numbers in a stupid bar chart, but they flew them in, and they're like, we're going to take it from here to here. Epic. The animation really excels at that. And here we see TurboTax using it for a much more mundane purpose. While you're waiting for your tax to be filed, it's demonstrating to you and informing you exactly what's going on. It could have given you a paragraph about how much they dearly care about your taxes and are sending them to the correct place, or a little video about here at TurboTax, we care so much about your taxes, but they didn't. They gave you a nice little animation, and they're not taking up too much of your time. They're not asking you to hit play. It's demonstrations. They're great for showing is more effective than telling, explaining how something works, exposing its details. All I gotta say about decorations is that they don't add any information to the information space, but they're really good for reinforcing branding. If you wanna know more, I want Sarah to get up here pretty soon. Just gonna say, I have a book. The rest of the examples are in it. Goodbye.
Thank you.